everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? Happy Saturday to everyone out there. Welcome back to the Welcome to Asgard podcast, episode 170, where today we'll be talking a little bit about how 2020 in film, at the very least, has essentially been canceled, with all of the various movies that have been postponed indefinitely, moved officially to 2021 in the I don't know what the hell is going to happen sphere, or have announced that they're only going to release to a few theaters and also video on demand services on the same exact day. Pretty much the three basic criteria of film right now in 2020. Essentially, canceling film for 2020. Also, what does this mean for the box office? And why do I think that the box office as we know it is essentially dead? Gone are the days of box office records. Gone are the days of us normal folks being able to really tell and say and predict what box office results are going to look like, and also, even more importantly, whether a movie is actually even financially viable or not, whether a film was profitable or not, and why I think that is simply gone and is no longer gonna possibly be possible for us to predict, since everything seems to be moving more so in the direction of video on demand services, and also, of course, movie studios now putting themselves in a deeper bind, movie theaters too, to have to try and put out content in new, unique, and different ways that is not going to be embraced by both the movie studios and movie theater chains. But before we jump into any of that and start taking questions and comments for any of that, please remember that here on this channel, on the Odes Movie Blog channel, if you have a comment or question, you can, of course, super chat. Though, of course, remember, if you super chat, YouTube takes 30% of every single super chat donation. But again, it's still very much appreciated. You can also donate directly via Streamlabs. There's a link for that in the description of this video. That also helps to support the channel. Your message also gets read out loud. You get a shout out, of course, on the channel. Fun gifts pop up when you donate that way as well. And also, YouTube does not get any percentage of that donation, which, of course, if you know anything about YouTube lately, and you know anything about the craziness of YouTube and the corruption of YouTube and the politicization of YouTube, you know that that is always a good thing. But also, if you can't donate, if you can't give money, that is also perfectly fine, because, as I always like to say, time is the most precious commodity that all of us have. And so if you are going to give me your time, even if it's only for a limited bit, I appreciate that. And so I only ask that you type the phrase Odin question, but it's one word altogether, Odin question. You'll sometimes see it float around down here, ODINQUESTION. The Valks, of course, Tina and Steph, will also remind you that that is how your message will be read aloud if you don't want to super chat. Again, if you don't want to donate, that's fine. Just know, though, that you have to type Odin question. Otherwise, I'm not going to see it. Because if you type Odin question, it highlights orange on my screen, it gets my attention, it lets me know, boom, you want me to read that comment, boom, you want me to read that question, you want to engage in that conversation. But just keep in mind that if you do go that route, I tend to fall around 20 to 30 minutes behind in the chat, so I'm not reading comments live. Again, I'm not reading comments live, which is why sometimes people are confused, like, wait a minute, where is he even who is he talking to? Well, if you were here 20 minutes ago, you would have seen the original comments. So if you decide to post in that way, then you'll have to probably wait about 20 to 30 minutes for me to get to it. If you don't want to wait, and it's really that important, then the only thing that you can do, of course, is to donate, because then it comes to me right away. And it gets read out loud right away as well. The only people that do not need to tag Odin question, though, if you don't want to tag Odin question every time you have a comment or question, you can become a member on YouTube, because then your name highlights green and it lets me know, oh, you're one of my members. And so as long as I see you're not tagging anyone else or having a conversation with anyone else, I'll just automatically read those comments aloud. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get episode 170 off on the right foot. Let's start off over with my D-Live fam, What is going on, D-Live fam? I can't remember exactly where it ended and where it all began, but it looks like Captain Mr. Roy was the first one in there. Hello to you, Captain Mr. Roy. Should see him tomorrow, hopefully, on the Chosen of Valhalla stream. By the way, there is going to be a bonus stream on this channel tomorrow around 1:30 Eastern Time. Latest 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Depends on how Mass goes tomorrow, because I am helping with the live stream again like I have been doing recently. And so depending on that will determine when we get to start. I think we'll be able to get it off at 1:30 with no problem at all. But that will, again, feature my Chosen of Valhalla, my $25 and up backers from Patreon and Subscribestar. And Captain Mr. Roy is one of them. And he's also one of my subscribers over on D-Live. So thank you very much for continuing to support in multiple ways, man. Mr. Peabody's in the chat. What's going on, Mr. Peabody? What's going on, Kaba? It is currently 7 in the morning where he is in the world, so good morning to you, Mr. Peabody. Philly the Hobbit's in there posting some fantastic gifts, because you can do that over on D-Live. Philly the Hobbit, what's going on? He has since jumped ship from YouTube to D-Live, and I think he's enjoying the community over there, because it's a much smaller community. Easier to keep track of, easier to be seen. Thank you very much for that lemon donation. I really do appreciate that very much so. Captain Dean Heiss, what's going on, bruh? Says, greetings, Odin. Not sure how long I'll be here tonight. Just wanted to say hail. Well, thank you very much, Captain Dean Heiss, and thank you also for being a subscriber over on D-Live. And then Mr. Peabody says, I always have to tag you. I waffle too much. This is true. This is true. Peabody loves to have conversations over there, and so the tags are always very important. So let's go ahead and get started off. And it turns out that over an hour or so before the stream, we actually have a brand new member, Andrew Hoyle. Thank you very much for joining the YouTube memberships at the Citizen of Asgard level. So thank you very much, good sir, for joining at that level. That means your name will now show up as green. You don't have to tag if you have a comment or question for me. I do ask, though, if you're talking to anyone else in the chat, that you tag them. That way I can know, oh, I can skip that comment because you're talking to them instead. Tina B, of course, was here early as well. What is going on, Tina B? Glad to see you here. And as she says, indeed, if you want a comment read without super chatting, without being a member or anything like that, hey, it's possible. Just put Odin question. It'll highlight orange and get ready to wait. It becomes a waiting game. It's one of the only ways that I can promise to read all the comments in the chat that I possibly can, and not exclusively just super chats and things like that. Also, very important, please do not spam, because the Valks, Tina and Steph, Tina, of course, being the Empress of the Universe, Steph, of course, being my Valkyrie, being, of course, the general of my Valkyries, they do not put up with BS. So be careful, or else you will be destroyed. Speaking of which, Jacob Juice, what's going on, good sir? Thank you so much for the super chat to start things off. He says, Dear Odin, it's been a while since I've seen you. My question to you is this: how are you doing, sir? Are you feeling well? Is your family doing well? Best, Jacob. Well, Jacob Juice, thank you so much, man. And I think the last time you super chatted was something similar, and I always appreciate those, because it's like, hey, how are you doing? How is everyone in your family doing? So as far as me, I'm doing fine. It's getting to a bittersweet point, because we're about to start back at school. We've actually had meetings for us teachers the last couple weeks. We have our official orientation days of professional development this week, towards the end of the week, which is going to have some conflicts with the morning streams that I had been doing for the summer. So RIP summer stream schedule. It's going to change a little bit. And again, I will put that information out on social media, the Discord, the website, everything that way. Hopefully everyone is able to find that information. So yeah, it's weird, because students are back in school, not this week, but next week. So that's kind of a crazy thing. It's insane, because obviously all of us are going to have to wear masks at all times. So students and teachers, including while we're teaching, I don't know exactly how it's going to work. The class sizes have been limited. We've had to take on extra classes just to be able to spread the kids out into smaller groups as well. And the desks are all having to be 6 feet apart from each other in all directions. So it's going to be pretty crazy, to say the least. It's going to be pretty crazy. And I really I don't know exactly how to feel about it. I have high hopes. I think that things are going to turn out very well. But once again, it's going to be chaos no matter what. No matter how prepared we are or how prepared the kids are, it's just going to be chaos because at the end of the day, it's high school age kids. And I know a lot of them are probably feeling like, why are we doing this? Probably have parents that are also of the mindset of, oh, why should we have to wear this or that? But hey, it's a part of the rules. It's a part of what we have to do. And I know that I like my contract and I love teaching. So, for me, wearing a mask for work reasons, hey, I think it's good. And also, of course, we're taking temperatures at the very beginning. And obviously, that will be a whole thing. But otherwise, family's doing great. Freya's doing wonderful. Baby little Thor's doing great, entering week 29. Everyone is so far healthy and doing well. Freya and I this weekend have been starting to build some of the things like dresser and we have another chair that we'll have to be able to use for rocking, etc. So we're getting ready, but it's we're third trimester, so it's definitely it really could essentially could happen at any time. So if I ever disappear for a long extended period of time and you don't really hear from me, you can assume that probably has something to do with it. Alrighty, but anyway, thank you very much, Jacob Juice. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for looking in on me, man. G-Monkey76, welcome. Hello. Welcome to the chat. Robert Frey is here as well. Mr. Peabody, double dipping over there. He's also a member over on YouTube. Orange Eye Reviews, what's going on, good sir? Says, am I late? I was watching a duck kill a mutant monster and save the world. Ah, well, of course you were. Of course you were. But you all know, it always starts at the same time. Yes, always got to be. Howard the Duck, or as I like to say, Preston the Duck. One of the best actors of all time, Preston the Duck. If you don't know who Preston the Duck is, go ahead and watch the award-winning film, A Man for All Seasons. There's a random duck in there. His name is Preston. And damn it, I'm sticking to that story because that is just how we're going to do things here. The chat has already jumped on me because that's just what YouTube does. But luckily, no comments have been skipped. Thank the Lord for that. Thanks the Lord. Bruce is in the chat. What's going on, Bruce, who is also a member on the channel. Stream Elements, who I forget if it's a bot that I activated a long time ago or if it's an actual person. I'll have to look into that at some point, but he pretty much just says hi and then disappears. Super Anime Gamer, heyo, what is up, my dude? What's going on, Super? Says, was getting caught up on yesterday's Friday Night Tights. Great show. Yes, thank you. It's always fun. I think it goes a little too long. Again, going over 5 hours is just too much for me. That's why I hit hour 3. I'm on from 5:15. It used to be 5 all the way till 8 p.m. 8 p.m. has been basically my cutoff because, one, I want to make sure I can check with Freya, make sure that she's okay, if there's anything that she needs. Obviously, of course, to spend time with Freya as well because it is still a Friday night. And it's still a good time to spend some time with loved ones. We got Waiting for Nerdrotic, who is the modern Major General of the channel. Also, I always like to call her the mother of the channel as well, because she always takes care of me. Thank you so much for being here, sending the hearts and the waves. So, Laura, thank you for being here. Appreciate it very, very much. So, we got Stephanie B in here. What's going on, Stephanie B? Showing up on time. Always great to see that on the weekend. Slicer Neon's in the chat. Mike Jackson, what's going on? Wookiee Ascendancy, welcome to the chat. Glad to see you here. Andrew Hoyle, who became a member earlier. Boom, there it is. He says, hail and good evening to all. Boom, Andrew Hoyle. Thank you again for becoming a member. Laura says, just saw a post that the Ray Park situation isn't what it seemed, thank goodness. Andy Signor spoke with his wife, I guess. Yeah, I saw that same post, and so basically it seems that it was false information, that Ray Park had nothing to do with the situation that was pointed out there. I'm not going to talk about what the situation was. Definitely not for the PG borderline PG-13 content that I try and host on this channel. And if you want to know more, you can look it up for yourself. But luckily, it seems that Ray Park was not involved, and so that makes me happy. Tina B says, important question. How the heck could the Academy not even nominate Bruno Ganz for Downfall, but give an award to Jamie Foxx for Ray, a movie I don't even remember? Well, there's a very simple answer to that, and it's politics of the identity variety. That's always what it comes down to. Mike Jackson, thanks for tagging me, says, Odin's streaming blog? Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Got to be Odin's streaming blog, Odin's VOD blog. Obviously, movies are still going to exist, right? So obviously, some people can look at what I say and how I talk about it. Movies are still going to come out. They're still going to exist. It's just going to be very different from what it was before, right? So obviously for 2020, basically no major releases are left on the calendar. So to kind of get to that first point, Mulan has been officially taken off the calendar. Tenet officially off the calendar. Several other films have been pushed back. Top Gun 2 pushed to 2021, right? That was one I was very excited about. A Quiet Place Part 2 pushed to 2021 as well. Avatar pushed back, which don't care about that. But hey, Avatar and Star Wars have been pushed back another year, and that was actually into next year. That film's 2021 releases have now been starting to get delayed. And really, the only movie I know of that hasn't moved, I think, at this point, again, maybe it's changed since the last time I looked at the news, which I haven't been able to today, was Wonder Woman 84, but something tells me that that probably will also find the same fate as Tenet, and I don't think we're going to get any major new releases coming out this year. You know, some people say, oh, what about Bill and Ted 3? It's like, well, I would call that a release. I wouldn't really call that a major release, though. I looked at the production budget on that. I looked at the fact that, yeah, fans of the franchise are excited, but normies overall probably weren't going to flock to go see that movie. You know, they would see that, oh, that's John Wick on screen. Oh, Keanu Reeves. I'll go see Keanu Reeves. That might pique their interest. But the way that they're approaching that film, so it's Orion Pictures, and I forget the bigger studio that's attached to the project overall. They are planning to do a September 1st release in select theaters, with it also at the same time being released on demand. So you'll be able to rent it, I believe, from places like iTunes, Google Play, all those various places that you can get movies on demand. And it's probably going to be for that $20 or so that Universal was doing with their movies for rental. So you'll be able to access it. You know, if you really want to spend the $20 just to rent it, hey, that's up to you. If your local theater might show it. But the big question, of course, is going to be, is AMC going to swallow its pride and show it as well? You know, is Regal going to do it, right? You know, all of them, Regal, AMC, Cinemark, all basically came together and said, we are not showing any movies from any studios on the same day as a VOD release. You know, we want you to respect the 3-month window that has always been in place. So, you know, either they're going to come up with a new deal and shorten that window, or, hey, could find ourselves in a precarious situation and movie theaters being in an even worse situation than they already are, because they're in a bad spot right now. Laura says here, Odin's Beard and Baby Care blog. Yeah, pretty much. 70B, thank you for letting me know how to contact me. I appreciate it. Forever Sci-Fi, who is a member on the channel, thank you so much for being here. He says, hail. William Liu, welcome to the channel. Soul Assassin is here as well. Glad to see you all here. Zachara315, thank you for being here. He says, howdy, Odin question. Howdy, Tina and Steph. Yes, hail to and howdy to the Valkyries, who are amazing. Sacre Bleu, the deadly poke of Zorro. What's going on? It's a great name. Glad to see it in the chat. Adam Avery, who's a member on the channel, says, hail Odin in chat. Glad to see you here, Adam Avery. Feel like it's been a while since I've seen you. I always shout you out at the end, though, because that's a part of the perks of being in that army of Asgard, or the Keeper of the Bifrost level. Soul Assassin who tagged me says, no question, just testing your eyesight. You're so funny. Aren't you just so funny? Shane Egan, welcome. CWD Trixie, what's going on? Glad to see you here. Latino Slant, who is a member. What is going on, Latino Slant? Glad to see you here. Mark Lazur says, did you see Brace New World? If so, did you like it? What is Brace New World? Was that supposed to say Brave New World? Either way, no. I don't even know what that's supposed to be. Antaevis says, hello. This will be my last stream before I ship out to basic training. Well, hey. Good luck to you, good sir. Thank you so very much for signing up to serve our country, man. So I don't remember seeing your name in the chat before, but hey, anyone that is, of course, going to be putting their life on the line, even again, just starting off with basic training, you know, still, I hope everything goes well, man. Please stay safe. Hope training goes well, and thank you very much for signing up and for this act of service. Thank you. Bruce, what's going on, Bruce? Member says, Odin, the post office said the package I sent you was 4 pounds, 11 ounces. Well, damn, son. What in the world, Bruce, did you put in there? can only imagine the amount of films and or whatever is in there. Speaking of which, I was actually able to buy a couple of things because, as you all know, Criterion every year puts puts all their films on 50% off, which is still, I think, a little bit too much. But I was able to pick up one. I posted one on Twitter earlier where I was like, does anyone think I should get this? It's 2 films, $30. Akira Kurosawa films. And so they were like, yes, how could you even ask this question? So I've gotten that. I went to Barnes & Noble and was able to get also a couple other films too that are also very well known, not only Criterion Collection films, but just classics. I think one was it's a Samurai Trilogy that's been on sale for around $30, which I thought was a pretty good deal. And then also because of Tina, thank you very much, Tina, for helping me out, was able to pick up Showboat, because obviously there's some controversy surrounding that film. So wanted to pick that one up, not just because it's Criterion, but also because the movie itself could be seen as problematic in future releases, of course. And was also able to pick up another film that fit the same criteria, but I'm forgetting the name of it right now. I'm sure it'll come to me. But also, as far as the film preservation project that I've been working on, the film and television preservation project, right now I'm actually in the process of digitizing North and South. This was one recommendation that was sent to me. If you want to know how to send recommendations, again, check out my website, OMB Reviews. .home.blog. There's a link for it in the description. Go to the Film TV Preservation. There's a place you can donate if you want to support the project, so that way I can buy the DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff, because some of it's out of print and harder to find and maybe a little bit more pricey, but also it just helps me be able to also get more drives and keep everything going. But this seemed pretty interesting because it tells the tales of both people on the northern side of the Civil War, and on the southern side of the Civil War, and sounded interesting to me. And the person that described it, because I always ask for a reason why you think something should be preserved, because obviously I'm looking for problematic stuff, and they said this probably could be problematic because of the fact it does seem to portray not a positive side of the South, but kind of this is the Southern perspective, which people look at and say, no, you can't say that. And I say, no, that's history. Both sides had perspectives. I think it's important for us to understand the perspectives of both sides if we care to actually learn anything. So anyway, that's what I've been doing today, is getting that stuff taken care of. And speaking of which, I need to open up a program to actually start the second process, because actually I want to watch this show too. I haven't watched it yet, and there's a separate thing I got to do in order to get that. So, all right. So let me just get that set up, and then we will get back into the YouTube chats, and everything will be fantastic. All right, so it looks like there's just one on there, so that's fantastic. Helps me out. Boom, all right, there we go. That has just started, so let me go back over there. Mark Lazar says Brave. So yes, I have not seen Brave New World, but Bruce, man, don't know what you sent me, but hopefully it's good stuff. Forever Sci-Fi says, I'm not a chosen of Valhalla, but I did sneak in and steal a sign. Well, did you now? What sign did you steal? What sign did you steal? As Bruce says, waffles. Waffles do sound pretty good. Waiting for Nerdronic says, finish the Orville Season 2 and I can't wait for more Jaloja. Dude, yes, Laura, yes. The Orville, fantastic show. Love the show so very much. And yeah, I'm right there with you. I cannot wait for another season. It is really awesome and fantastic. Rob Clegg, that's a new name. Welcome here to the channel. Glad to see you here. If you're a new person, by the way, in the chat, and you're not tagging me, I'll read your name because it's a new name and I recognize the name. But again, if you do have a comment or question, please again tag Odin Question, all one word, Odin Question. You don't even need the @ symbol. You just need to type Odin Question together as a word, and it'll pop up orange and it'll let me know you're getting my attention. And then of course also, if you don't want to wait, if you don't have the patience, because again, it'll be about 20 or 30 minutes before I get to your comments, then you can, of course, either donate via Super Chat or via direct donation through Streamlabs. Highly recommend Streamlabs. Does help out the channel a lot more. Dean Heiss, who's a member, says, Hail, YouTube fam. Glad to see you here. Browsing the webs. Hello, browsing the webs. Glad to see you here. Sasha Neons, thanks for tagging me. He says, alas, the box office got canceled. Hashtag cancel 2020. Time to focus on all father's other hobby / guilty pleasure. Welcome to Odin's romantic Amish Nova. Romantic Amish novel review blog. Yes. Because not only do I read books that are fiction, but also I read romantic Amish novels. Yes. You got me, Slicer. You figured me out. Oh, Lordy. No, I actually prefer nonfiction stuff. I like learning stuff. So I've actually been reading a couple of Catholic encyclicals. I'm a theology teacher, so, kind of trying to beef up my knowledge of various encyclicals. And there's a couple that I want to work on either right before the school year starts or right at the very beginning of the school year starting, because I think it's important for me to have that knowledge to be able to go back to. Nathan Slade, thanks for tagging me, man. Says, hey, man, hope you're doing well. Hope everyone's doing well, including your dogs. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate dogs doing well. They're upstairs hanging out with Freya right now. So they're hanging out with the wife. And, yeah, they're enjoying some television and some chill time up there. So thank you for checking in. Bruce, who's a member, says, oh, Odin, it's all Blu-rays, no DVDs. Well, thank the Lord for that. As you all know, I prefer Blu-rays easily because Blu-rays are just far superior to DVDs. But in this preservation project that I've been working on, there are definitely situations and cases where there just aren't any Blu-ray releases of various things. So North and South, for instance, the miniseries, it was only available on DVD. The other series that was recommended earlier on, Dukes of Hazzard, right? Only available on DVD. So I do have to sometimes give in and get the inferior quality. But again, it's about preserving it. It's about preservation of it in case for any reason they stop selling it and it just goes away completely, that, hey, it's saved, it's backed up on a server, and if we ever need access to it, hey, at least we have someone that has it, right? Bashy Washy, that's a new name. Welcome to the stream. Glad to see you here. Forever Sci-Fi, who's a member, says, I can't imagine that. It feels like we're denying the kids something important. Denying the kids something important. Is that what you mean by the 6 feet of distance and wearing the face masks and things like that? Here's the thing, though, is that we are doing it because we have policies that we have to follow, right? So as a Catholic school, we have to follow the diocesan policy. As a school that exists in a county, we have to follow the county guidelines too. And so basically, if we want to stay open, that's kind of what we have to do. It's sad, but it's true. It's like our hands are kind of tied on it. And I agree to an extent, right? When you can't see each other's faces and expressions, it does seem to take away something. But the alternative is, okay, then we all stay home and we do at-home learning. And what we learned very quickly and very easily from the at-home learning experience is the fact that it caused a lot of kids, especially teenagers especially, to start to have to deal with things like anxiety and depression at a lot higher rate than previous. And a lot of that has to do, again, psychologists, psychiatrists are all looking into this, seems to find a direct correlation between the daily interactions that you're used to having with your friends, with your teachers, is essentially gone. Even if you're doing live streaming, even if you're doing things like that, it's just not the same as that person-to-person interaction, which is important. Will Gentry, what's going on? Good sir, glad to see you over on YouTube. I'm sure I'll see you over on D-Live once it jumps and I jump over there. Kigo Rogers, what's going on? Good sir, glad to see you here. Venom Broly 93, welcome to the chat. Glad to see you here as well. 13th Warrior, welcome. All right, and on 13th Warrior's notes of him entering the chat, I'm going to go back in time. Go back in time because the chat's jumped on me. And luckily, it looks like no comments were skipped. And that always makes me very, very happy to see that happen. So before jumping back over into YouTube world, let's go ahead and catch up with my D-Live fam. So again, Philly to Hobbit, thank you for that lemon donation. Really does mean a lot to me. Phonemo says, hey all, Odin with the pushing back of the blue avatar. How are you holding up? Are you as happy as I am? No! I'm not happy. And the reason why is because I want those damn movies, talking about Avatar here, there's 5 of them. I want all of them to just come out already. I don't want any more delays. I just want them to be out. I want people to be able to judge it. I'm hoping that they are the same story quality as the original so that maybe people can start waking up to the fact that the first film is not that good. And then maybe they can just cancel the rest. Obviously, they're not, because they're filming them all at the same time, and he was given $1 billion to do all of the remaining films, and I'm sure he's going to go over budget with it, and it's going to be another major loss catastrophe for Disney, especially with, again, the box office being in the state that it's in, right? I mean, if there's no box office to go back to, do you think that people, honestly, do you think there's a lot of people, a huge group of people, a huge subsection of the population of moviegoers that are like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for Avatar 2 to come out and me to spend all my money on it? I mean, yes, there are definitely people that feel that way, but to the extent of it making the billions of dollars that it made the first time, no. That was one of those very rare events, right, where it just caught fire, new technology, people wanting to experience it for themselves. You're not going to get that same thing for the second movie. And so if you don't have movie theaters, and a lot of them are going to be closed by the time that second one comes out in 2022, again, a lot of theaters are going to be closed by then, are you going to release it on demand? Are you going to try and release it in that way? Is someone going to actually want to watch that movie in 3D because that's how James Cameron wants to do it? I mean, seriously, think about it. Like, Disney, if they don't get their stuff together, if they don't figure out how to actually start listening to fans and what people want, they're screwed. And Avatar is going to be a huge reason as to why they're screwed. So yeah, I'm of the mindset of just release it so that it can be over and done with. That's what I want. All right, Will Gentry, of course, popping up over on D-Live. Phonemo's over there. What's going on? Peabody tagged me, said, are you going to use the Ghostbusters vehicle for the run to the hospital, or are you going to try and cram poor Freya into the DeLorean? Well, I don't have the Ghostbusters. I do have the DeLorean, and I do have the Batmobile. I think that I would probably use the Batmobile because something tells me that it could be a little bit faster. Faster because, yes, the DeLorean can go up to 88 miles an hour, but this is a model not built with a flux capacitor. So, yeah. Phonemo says, Big Shark is still viable. Walk makes me laugh. What? Big Shark. That context. I need context. That made no sense to me. Adam's here. What's going on? Adam DeClan says, we know you prefer VHS. No, screw VHS. VHS is terrible quality. Peabody then tags me and says, yep, always asking for that VHS, and you always rant about beta cord tapes. No, VHS is terrible as far as quality goes. However, tape is actually one of the better mediums for long-term preservation. So they're still using tape to this day. Large corporations actually use like these fancy tape decks and these tapes that can now, imagine this, there are tapes that exist that can hold like 10 terabytes of data, right? And you can get them actually pretty cheap in comparison to hard drives. The problem though, of course, is that one, it's still tape. So it still has limitations, meaning you can't quickly access stuff because it has to rewind and go back, and you have to wait for it to find the right position to access that, that particular file. You can't edit on it live, for instance. But as far as for like cold storage, it has a shelf life of around 30 years or so, which is a lot longer than standard hard drives like I'm using, for example, in my server. So yeah, it is something interesting to say the least. But anyway, no. But quality for as movies go, no. VHS is a no-no. It is a no-no. Adam says, I'd like to see Godzilla hit the drive-in. Which version of Godzilla? Old school? Newer one? He then says, how you doing, buddy? Doing just fine, man. Someone actually asked me that question earlier. I went into more detail. He then says, one more day of work and I'm retired again. Well, retirement sounds pretty nice. Not me. JJ52, what's going on? That's a new name in the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to see new people in here. By the way, if you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And also, please smash the like button as well. Again, doesn't cost very much. There's 73 of y'all watching. If y'all could all smash the like and get us to 73 likes wherever we are right now, get to 100 likes, could be awesome. Could be fun. We're a pretty easygoing community here. Just hanging out, chilling, having good conversations, hopefully, as I and all of us try to survive just one day at a time. One day at a time. Alrighty. Let's see what's next. Tina B says, I forgot when I bowed out of Friday Night Tights, sometime after the is George Lucas too old or will he return debate. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because that question was asked and we were asked to like all answer and then only like one person answered. And it's like, for me, okay, I had an answer, but I guess mine, okay, fine. I guess I could speak up, but then I'd get yelled at again. But getting to that though, if I could answer that, George Lucas is not coming back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know we have friends that have sources that claim certain things, and again, they luckily, because they're amazing people, say these are rumors. I just don't see it. I really just can't see it happening at this point. Really can't see it happening. Let's see. Venom Broly 93, thanks for tagging me, says received T2 remastered, pictured flawless sound, high quality, colorimetry or hue if you prefer, totally fudged. I won't watch it again. The longer version had the old pictures. Yeah, Venom Broly, I think I warned you about that too, man, because I remember you were excited. I was like, no, like don't get the Blu-ray, don't get the 4K. James Cameron messed up the the transfer for T2. So basically someone else is going to have to go in, find one of the original 35 millimeter, or if there's a 70 millimeter, a 35 millimeter or 70 millimeter print of the film, and do their own version of it, because yeah, he screws the colors up completely. It's still a great film. I mean, you can still enjoy the movie, but you're not going to be seeing what was once seen. Eric M's in the chat. See how long that lasts. Thanatos Felicitas says, I say you will be behind 20 minutes about now. Well, let's see. He says that at 7:13. It's 7:36 in the chat. So, yeah, a little over 20 minutes. A little over 20 minutes. It happens. Super Anime Gamer, thanks for tagging me. Says, oh, yeah. I forgot your school year starts in August. My state goes September to June. Glad you can go back. My state is going half school, half home. Glad you're not in crazy union either. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if it was public school, that would be crazy more so. One of the schools, though, that's about an hour away from us, but in the same diocese, they are currently, their school is larger than ours, so they are doing half and half, but it's not what you would think. So half are there, while the other half are on their computers at home, watching the lecture, doing the same exact thing, basically. So it's not that you only go to school half the week, it's that half the time you're on campus, the other half you're watching it instead. So that's kind of the mindset of what's going on there. Luckily, we have a very small school, and so we can have everyone back on campus at the same time, but we do have to make some crazy changes. So I know one change is that we have to have 3 lunches instead of 2, so that's going to cause some craziness with the schedule, and I don't think we have an official day-to-day rotation yet, because there's a lot of ideas being thrown around, and no matter what it is, though, I mean, those first 2 weeks especially are just going to be insane. And basically, we are going to be treating it as if it's at home but at school, meaning that we're going to be putting all of our assignments onto the thing. You know, for us, we use Teams, we use Microsoft stuff. So we're going to be putting everything there so that in case, one, a student either chooses to stay home, because we are giving students the option, they don't have to come to school if they don't feel comfortable, so they can do at-home learning if they want. It's only a few students really that are in that. Again, immunocompromised kids, so it makes sense for them. But then, you know, what if a student is coming to school and they get their temperature and they have a fever and they get sent home? Well, then they'll be expected to, you know, be at home watching the stream of the class, taking notes, doing all the things that they're normally supposed to do. But again, it also helps us in case we have to shut down, because then we don't really change anything, except instead of us doing it at school, it'll be all at home instead. Either way, though, again, it's going to be insane. So please pray for teachers. Pray for teachers and students, because it's going to be crazy for all of us. Nathan Slay says, don't call the Redskins the Washington Redskins anymore. They will now be referred to as the Washington football team. Yes, you heard me. This is no joke. Yeah, I already knew that, Nathan Slay, but that doesn't really have any... This is not an open forum tonight, everybody, so if y'all could just keep the other stuff out, that would be great. I would appreciate that a lot. Carl Dalquist, what's going on? Brad Noble. Holy crap, man. It's been a long time. Where you been? You've abandoned me. Someone else has had to take on your position as being our pet troll. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. But let's go ahead and see. Forever Sci-Fi says 2020 needs to be taken off the calendar. Yeah, pretty much. Just needs to go away completely. Tina B tagged me and said, well, Top Gunner is on YouTube, and it kind of looks like Top Gun, so there's that. It's not the same. I want Top Gun 2. I want Top Gun 2 instead. Recopolis, that's a new name. Welcome. Pop Culture Avenger. You don't need to use all those caps, man. Odin question by itself. No more caps after. That'd be great. Otherwise, it makes me feel like you're yelling at me. He says, hey, Odin, do you think that now that Hollywood is completely woke and political in nature, there will be a greater interest in B-movie culture and production? Well, here's the thing. I don't think all of Hollywood is woke. I would say a vast majority of it is woke, or at the very least, the powers that be are woke. But there's still movies that come out every single year that really don't have any hints of wokeness to it whatsoever. I mean, let's just be honest here. There's movies that I loved from the last few years, right? I have a favorite movie every single year, and a lot of them tend to be devoid of politics. In fact, if you really look to all the films that come out, most of them, to be honest, wide release-wise, most of them are not really fully woke. You know, they might have a moment, a scene, maybe, but there's a lot that aren't, right? So if we're talking about leadership, then yeah, obviously the leadership and things and the directions, right? Obviously the directions of certain films, and really it's, I would say, the bigger thing is the takeover of franchises that are being pushed in more directions. Like, so if you're a Star Wars fan, you're seeing that they are blatantly pushing Star Wars with an agenda-driven direction, right? You look to Star Trek. You look to Doctor Who, right? All of these are projects that are being taken over and infiltrated by woke persons that are trying to push agenda over story. There's still a lot of really good stories still being told, though. So do I think that there's going to be an interest in B culture? I think B movie culture has always had an interest in it. And really, B movie culture, to me, doesn't really exist in the same way, right? If you're talking about like those ripoffs, like, you know, a Jurassic World movie comes out and then they say Jurassic, Metropolis, right? No, I don't think those are going to see big influences because those movies are just bad. They're just not very well done. But if we're talking about independent films, right, smaller productions that might get picked up by the major companies, right, then yeah, I mean, I think there has been a big influence and a big jump in interest as far as independent films are concerned. So again, I'm always very careful with the language because sometimes I feel like we can be like, oh, it's everything when it's really not. We don't want to overblow things when it's not. Venom Burley 93 says he's playing Ghost of Tsushima and loves it and says there's one major flaw: no saving sets when you have to change outfits and skills. Super says, for Friday Night Tights, I'm still in awe of what Kurtzman said. What an ungrateful donkey, but think he has any idea how many people would love to be a millionaire sci-fi screenwriter? No, I don't think he does, because I think he's just counting his money and he's just like, yeah, I'm happy. Why should I care what anyone else has to say? Why should I care about what the plebes have to say? Another new name, Darwin James WR. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to see you here. Boezy Bird. Welcome. Glad to see you here. Waiting for Nadrotic. Thank you for tagging me. Says, I've heard so many positive things about Ray Park since the 90s that I immediately assumed he was hacked. Looking forward to more Mall. Yeah, I'm glad to hear. Glad to hear that that is indeed the case. Wayne Nelson, what's going on, good sir? Nathan Slay, have you seen A Serious Man or No Country for Old Men? If you have, what are your opinions on them? I've seen both. It's been a long time since I have seen them. I found No Country for Old Men to be very overrated. It's a very slow burn of a movie. And even though I think the villain, Javier Bardem, is fantastic, the rest of the film, to me, it's not a movie that I think I ever really need to see again. And I don't really remember a whole lot about it right now off the top of my head. Serious Man, I would actually probably say the same thing. So again, well-made movies, but that's about it. 13th Warrior, thank you for finally tagging correctly. Odin question. Says, can we get Odin's critical review of the Transformers video shown on Friday Night Tights? A critical review of the Transformers video shown on Friday Night Tights. I'm forgetting which Transformers video. Sometimes there's videos that I can't see. So I need some more context. Tina B says, was it In the Heat of the Night? Yes, that's what it was, Tina. So In the Heat of the Night was the other one. With Sidney Poitier was the other one that I picked up, which is also a series. And the series is the one that I'm actually trying to hunt down because it's only available on DVD. It's out of print. And so therefore, everything is just way overpriced. I have season 1 of In the Heat of the Night with, was it Carol O'Connor as one of the leads in it? And I'm trying to find the rest. I think it's 8 seasons total, so hopefully you can find the rest of it, but we'll find out. Sizer says, I had a weird dream last night about an alien and predator fighting at my beach house. I don't have one. I beat up the guy in the suit, but they kept coming. That is strange. Well, thank you for sharing your dreams. Bruce, as a member, says, North and South is a good movie. Yeah, it's not really a movie as much as it is like a mini series. Each episode is basically the length of a movie, so it seems interesting. Tina B says, yes, the Patrick Swayze character fights for the Confederacy because he's a good Southerner. He and the Yankee went to, I think, West Point together, so they're good friends like many were. Yeah, and I think that's something that you don't often see in the various portrayals of the Civil War, right? You only ever see this side bad, this side good, right? When it's, no, there was actually a lot of good and bad on both sides, right? You know, because it was, what? Human beings fighting other human beings. Human beings are flawed, and people seem to forget that, right? People seem to forget that there were people doing atrocious things on both sides of that war. You know, it's amazing how people oftentimes forget that and lose sight of that because of their own political leanings or because of, you know, their own blindness to these things. Barcelona 12, welcome. Glad to see you here. Latino Slant, who's a member, says, Odin never dropped the taco, just saying Brie. Huh? What? Tina B, did you say you got the Samurai Trilogy? If you did, you won't regret it. It's a solid trilogy with Toshiro Mifune, and it's not directed by Kurosawa. I know those were not directed by Kurosawa, but yeah, those were available, all 3, as a set for like $34 on sale. It was on Amazon for a while. I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't know. And then it was off sale. I think you can get it now still for like $46, but then you pay extra shipping because of where you're buying it from. But it is still available on Barnes & Noble for shipping, so I was able to pick it up there. And I forgot that I was a member there, so I got free expedited shipping too. So those should be coming in early this week, so I'm excited about that. Sorry, I need to plug in my phone real quick because I have a new way of charging my phone. Normally, I would charge it overnight, but it actually has really good. I switched to the iPhone some months back, and the standby on it's actually really good. And so basically, all I need to do is charge it when I'm streaming or videoing, and it gets fully charged, and I'm good until the next evening, really. So. But yeah, the Samurai Trilogy finally was able to pick that up. And it's one that a lot of these are available on HBO Max, but it's one of those things where it's like, well, you know, I am a movie buff. I am a movie collector. And I've heard great things about so many of these things that just, I think, owning them and having them, right, just to possibly preserve if ever need be, is a good thing. Let's see. JJ52, what's going on, good sir? He says, who is Jesus Christ? Son of God, only begotten Son of God, second person of the Divine Trinity. I mean, I could go into full theological mode, but that's not what tonight's stream's about, so. Let's see. Aiden Vickery says, Odin and Bruce, go careful. A 4-pound package of really good stuff the DEA might be watching. So if it gets stuck in customs for any reason, we'll know why. Because Bruce sent 4 pounds of good stuff, whatever the world that means. All right, the chat has jumped on me once again, but it looks like no comments were skipped. Keck44, what's going on, man? All right, cool. Caught up there. Let's jump back over to my D-Live fam. Adam says, never mind, I got that one already. Will Gentry says, I didn't see Friday Night Tights, so I don't know if it's the same one, but you should look at the Transformer video I tweeted. It's the last thing I tweeted. It's called Politically Correct Transformers. The title tells you all you need to know. Yeah, so that was after I left. I remember seeing that on on Twitter. I remember seeing that on Twitter where it was being shared around. but I never actually got to watch it. So I have no review of it because I've not actually gotten to watch it yet. And that was also Book 3, Disc 8 of North and South. So I'll put that away. The set is in the other room, and I need to get everything organized before I transfer it all over onto the server. But anyway, let us see. Forever Sci-Fi, who is a member, says, I understand the policy is what it is when you already see these kids walking around staring into phones, taking away the socialization is even more damaging, and it could be. And obviously, I think that there probably will be studies done about the impacts that all of this is going to have on the kids, right? And here's our hope, right? And our ultimate hope and prayer is this, that it will not be long, because basically we're reassessing every 2 weeks. So my hope and prayer is that after 2 weeks, teachers will be allowed to take off our mask when we're teaching. And then the 2 weeks after that, students, when they're in the classroom sitting down, will be allowed to take their masks off as well and only have to wear them when they're walking around. That, I think, would be... I'm hoping that that is the fastest change that happens, but, you know... Again, it's up to the diocese and the county and all of these different things, and it's crazy. So, yeah, I'm hoping that we get some quick changes for sure. 13th Warrior says, do you think the pandemic will lead to a fundamental transformation of the public education system? I hope so. Maybe move more to a charter school paradigm similar to Sweden. It really is hard to say. It's going to depend on your state. You know, that's one of the beautiful things. You know, sometimes it frustrates people, but it's one of the beautiful things about the U.S. is that we are indeed a united group, right? The United States, but we're also individual states with individual laws and policies, etc. So what I'm hoping is that it leads to positive change, but again, unfortunately, because we also have this sense of independence among states, it means some states can make some really bad policies and some really bad changes, you know? And I have a feeling that that's going to leave a lot of kids out, and it's going to leave a lot of kids kind of just screwed over, sadly. So it'd be great to see a change happen, but whether we see it tomorrow, I don't see it soon over the next year or two because of this. It's really hard to say and predict. Laura says, John Wick 1 and 2 at the drive-in tomorrow. Boom, baby. Yeah, that's a great double feature right there. Sounds like a fun night. Heimdall, thank you for letting everyone know how to contact me over on YouTube. CWD Trixie says, get Avatar 2 and VHS box set. Hell no. I wouldn't even get that on VHS. Patooey, I spit on it. Rob D, what's going on? Says, hey, Odin, what movies do you think would hit $1 billion this year if COVID didn't happen? Well, Mulan probably would have hit $1 billion. I don't think it would have deserved it, but it would have. Again, just being honest, it would have hit $1 billion. Top Gun 2 would have some potentiality to have hit $1 billion. Again, it was originally a summer release, and so I think that it definitely would have had that potential to do so. Black Widow would have been $1 billion film most likely, and I know there's a plethora of other films that I'm forgetting right now that, you know, probably also would have been in that territory. At the very least, would have been in that territory. So, wasn't Fast 9 originally supposed to also come out this year? That one probably would have gotten pretty close. Forever Sci-Fi, who's a member, says, forget VHS. I want my 5 1/4 inch diskettes back. Of course you do. Dark Shadow Logan, welcome to the chat. It's a new name. Those unknown names I've seen. Bashy Washy says, I truly hope the movies die just like comics at the moment, so it can rise again without wokeness. I just want quality like the old time. Give me something like BSG. Battlestar Galactica, I'm assuming is what that means. I don't want movies to die. I'm just there. I'm right there, because if movies die, movie theaters die. And if movie theaters die, it means that if we ever do see a renaissance in movies, it's going to be basically completely controlled by the studio. Here's the thing. Anyone wishing death upon movies and upon theaters, keep in mind, you don't have theaters. That means everything is contained within a streaming service. And therefore, they at that point can do whatever the hell they want and not have any public ramification for it. They can release their movies, and guess what? Guess what goes away? Box office reports. You know how we always like to joke, hashtag Solo lost money? If there was no box office, if there were no theaters and they released that straight onto their Disney Plus service or charged a premium for it and decided to not release individual movie revenue, but only to release all of their revenue at the same time or quarterly so that you couldn't tell which was which, it would be impossible to tell whether a film was a flop or whether it was a success. So again, be careful what you wish for. That's why I don't want theaters to die, and I don't want movies to die either. I don't. I want good movies to succeed and make money at the theater, and I want bad movies to fail and lose money. That's what I want. Anyway, Tina B says, I was screaming at the TV when the question got asked. Context, George Lucas, I have my own opinion, of course. Of course. Cobra Viber 999, thanks for tagging me, says, I picked up 8 Arrow Blu-rays yesterday for $60 in the HMV sale, including An American Werewolf in London and Old Boy. Ooh, very cool. I did not know Old Boy was on sale, the OG one. I've never seen the OG Old Boy. I actually do own American Werewolf in London. It was, as you all know, I've a connection with, it's called, MVD Visual. And so they send me their own movies, their own restorations that they do. It's kind of cool. They do their own 2K, 4K restorations. But then they also work with Arrow Video. And so I get a lot of Arrow Video releases as well. But a lot of times the ones I get are very obscure. I've gotten some pretty cool ones, though. I've got the RoboCop Arrow Video release. And then, as you mentioned, I actually got American Werewolf in London as well, which actually is a film I have not seen yet. I need to go through. I have a whole box full of those movies. I need to go through those and figure out which ones I might need to like digitize and things like that. Forever Sci-Fi, who's a member, says, I walked by a large group of teens today. They were bunched up together, but all on their phones and barely talking to one another. I'm not sure which we're supposed to be more upset about. Yeah, I would say, to be honest, the masks, I would say phones are worse than masks as far as school interactions go. I think if we were to take the phones out and limit the phones in a teenager's life, even with masks being a part of it, I think you would see a tremendous increase in happiness, a decrease in anxiety, a decrease in depression. It's cell phones, really, because it's that constant being connected of putting your value into, oh, how many hearts am I getting on this Instagram post? Or, ooh, what are the comments saying on my Instagram post? Or, ooh, what's going, like, again, so much value is put into phones by teens, and they can't handle it. I mean, there's a lot of adults that can't handle it. Even I have issues with it sometimes, right? But it's something that I think the cell phone, no question about it, social media, cell phone usage, having instant access at all times, that is the major problem. Yeah, if you're going to compare that with masks, masks are nothing compared to the cell phone issue. Forever Sci-Fi. Nathan Slay tagged me and says, the thing about movies that come out recently, if they're not woke, there's a good chance the movies are just bland popcorn fluff. Again, not necessarily. Not necessarily. It could also just be a movie that, you know, is just a film that you would not normally see, but maybe you should. That's the other thing that can sometimes happen with it too, because also sometimes those popcorn films can actually be pretty entertaining. Super says, is there something I'm missing? Because I don't get the half and half schooling. Like, the kids have already been exposed to each other and spread germs to family if in school, period. Basically, so it's actually being done for space. It's being done for space. So basically, because some schools are big, they, instead of trying to do what we're doing, where it's like, I feel so bad. We have 2 people that are working on all these schedules, and nightmare scenario. And there's going to be kids that are going to be like, I need to change my schedule. And they're going to be like, excuse me, we spent weeks literally trying to perfect this, and not one thing can change. But some schools instead are taking the approach of, okay, well, let's get half of the people on here because we can hold half and be able to space them out properly at a time. And then with the fact that they're the other school that I was talking about, they're a 1-to-1 school. So every single kid has a computer, has access to a computer. So then they can actually do the at-home learning, and they can do it at the same time as class is going on. Our school is not one-to-one. We have to work there. Again, we're a smaller school, a little bit behind technologically, but again, we're trying to update it as much as we possibly can. So for us, it actually made more sense to get everyone back since we could. However, it's led to just this insane new schedule that, God bless the two women that have been working on that schedule, because it's I know that I would be pulling my hair out with it. So that's the logic behind it, is just spacing and trying to keep everyone as spaced as possible during the day. Because again, remember, they're all being screened as they come in. So if they have a fever, they're not allowed to come in. They're either sent home, sent to a little quarantine area where they're tested again after an hour, or, possibly, tested for other things too. Tina says, I had to find out what beat There Will Be Blood for Best Picture, and it was No Country for Old Men. Interesting. Yeah, and because you've just brought that up, there is no reason why There Will Be Blood should have lost to No Country for Old Men. Again, No Country for Old Men. Is it a bad movie? No. All right? Is it a bad movie? No. Is it better than There Will Be Blood? Hell no. Hell no, it's not better. Laura says, welcome to Odin's Dream Interpretation blog. Yeah, seriously. Eric M says, what 13th Warrior sang? Did you watch Politically Correct Transformers video on Friday Night Tights on Nerdrotic? Again, all that was kind of explained in the chat earlier. So it's always important to read the chat too, because sometimes the chat answers the question before I get to it. So there's no need to explain it on other people's behalf. But thank you for trying. I appreciate it still. All right, the chat has jumped on me like it normally does. So let me just find out where we got left off. Bam. Cool, there we go. All right, now jumping back over to my D-Live fam. What's going on, D-Live fam? Will Gentry says, don't hold your breath. Quick, and more to the point, sensible changes have not been all that common recently. This is true. It seems common sense has flown out the window. No one really wants to think critically or for themselves anymore. Mr. Roy, thank you very much for dropping the diamond donation. Really do appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Will Gentry, did you really just thank your bot for doing something you programmed it to do? Damn right I did, because sometimes bots don't work. So I'm going to do that. And by the way, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take care of this person right now. Hi, greetings. I'm from Turkey. Yeah, that means you're gone. And it's not because I have anything against anyone that's here from Turkey. But whenever anyone says and starts off their conversation with "I'm from Turkey," it never ends well on DLive. It never ends well. And so therefore I delete you and I block you. So if for any reason you're one of the only persons that's actually not a troll from Turkey, you need to find a new opening line, because I'm not letting anyone in that does that. Forever Sci-Fi, who's a member, says the Civil War literally had brother versus brother, father versus son situations. Just read up on Edward Leah. Yeah, but people don't want to. People don't want to. People don't want to learn. They don't want to know what actually happened. They don't want to understand it. They don't want to actually dive into the philosophies and ideologies of both sides of the war. They just want to demonize based just on race. Nothing else. They just want to say, oh, white people are bad and need to make up and make reparations, etc. And BLM. That's it. That's it to them. And it's like, no. It's a lot more complicated than that. And until we can have a full-rounded discussion about those issues, we're never going to be able to get along fully with each other. 13th Warrior says, finally, tagging correctly, my previous comments were not meant to be questions, merely polite repartee. I can't believe you would humiliate me publicly. Matthew 18:15. Oh, don't you go quoting scripture on me. Let's be honest. Were you not trying to tag the channel name? And by tagging the channel name, normally that would, again, be a tag I could see, but I've had it set up so that you have to put Odin question instead, because Again, I don't want just a bunch of random people jumping in here thinking, hey, I can just go ahead and say whatever I want and he's going to read it. It's like, no, you kind of got to be a member here. Kind of have to be a part of the club. But guess what? Membership's free. You just got to watch and pay attention. Nathan Slay tagged me and said, would the MCU be even more of a train wreck if Michael Bay directed all the movies? Come on. Nathan Slay, you know that answer. You already know the answer to that. If 13th Warrior tries to do the wink smile at me, how dare you? How dare you? Nathan Slay, am I the only one who was disappointed on John Wick 2? Really? John Wick 2 had the best story out of all of them. This is how I rank the John Wick movies. John Wick 1, best all-round film. Best all-round film, right? The most balanced movie. John Wick 2 easily has the best story. Has the best because it dives into the lore. You get more information about how things work. It's great. And then John Wick 3, I think, has some of the best action sequences. They all have great action sequences. But that knife fight, man, I tell you, in John Wick 3 is just... I can't repeat it. Latino Slant says, a plethora of piñatas. Name that movie, Odin. I hate when people tell me to name that movie. All right? That one's an easy one because I quote it all the time on the channel. That's obviously The Three Amigos, which is a fantastic film. But I hate when people put me on the spot like that. It frustrates me. It's like, no, not an animal. I'm not an animal here to do circus tricks for your entertainment. I'm just a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. Name that movie, Latino Slants. That should be a pretty easy one. I'm just here to have discussions, conversations about themed topics. Which, by the way, remember, today's theme is 2020 in film canceled and end of the box office. I would say, yeah. Super says, regarding charter schools, yeah, it definitely depends on state and their political leanings. Don't know much about it myself, but I know Gary said Cali is going after private schools. Yep, they are. They're going after the vouchers and everything. Tina says, context John Wick 2. It's funny, but another YouTuber said he needed to do an analysis of why John Wick 2 didn't work. It was either Mahler, Anomaly, or Critical Drinker. John Wick 2 is great. The story is great. Forever Sci-Fi, who's a member, says, I'd completely forgotten about the Black Widow. I'm pretty sure people will care even less than they already did since they killed her off. Again, that's kind of the mindset I have too, right? It's like, okay, she's dead. Why should I really care? Yeah, it's an origin story, and now there's rumors that, they're going to recast it, and there was some crazy rumor about how there's going to be some kind of brain transplant or something, which is just ridiculous. But either way, it's just like, bleh. Whatever. But either way, it's an MCU film, and so I think it would have done well no matter what. Daniel Roden, that's a new name, welcome. Natrium, who's a member of the channel, says, regarding Brave New World, it's a classic novel by Aldous Huxley, an absolute must-read along with Orwell's 84. Netflix, I think, just released a series based on it. It's meant to be not very good. It's meant to be not good? I don't like that. That reminds me of my least favorite novel of all time, Catcher in the Rye. I hate Catcher in the Rye because it's written like the actual mind of a person in that situation. It's revolutionary. And I'm like, no, this is something that I feel like any person of this age group could have written. Yeah, if something's supposed to be bad, if it's supposed to be bad and funny, right? If it's like so bad it's funny, that kind of thing. Okay, I can deal with that. But, yeah. If it's not meant to be very good and it's not being done for laughs, then I have a problem. Nathan Slay, thanks for the tag. He says, I know Disney was ruling last year, but at least we got movies. At least we got movies last year. We're not getting anything this year. No, we're not. And again, as I said, box office records are out the window. Box office tracking out the window. None of the numbers really matter this year. None of the numbers matter. And because we're getting all these movies getting pushed and delayed, the major releases especially, to either VOD or to next year completely, there's an even better chance now that the Oscars get canceled, which you would think is a good thing, right? And on the face of it, yeah, it is. But it also means that it's going to be harder for me to have my Raven Awards. Because if there's no movies to nominate, and if there's no Oscars to boycott, I mean, puts me in a situation, to say the least. puts me in a situation, one that I don't want to be in. 70B says, oh, hi, you want to be disconnected? You want to be disconnected? Yeah, there's been times where I have actually considered, because they're very cheap, getting one of those quote unquote like dumb phones. So that way you can, just disconnect for a time or two. But because of what I do, both because of obviously schooling and needing to be attached to emails, things like that, and YouTube and such, it would be a little harder for me to do. But it's definitely something that I'm more and more considering possibly investing in. The problem though with me is that sometimes I get things like that, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to get it for this reason, and then I end up not following through, and so I'm trying to not do that nearly as often. 13th Warrior says, listen to Jonathan Haidt's critiques of how social media negatively impacts young people. I don't know that person, but we had to go to a conference last year, and it shows us actually that social media use, cell phone use in a normal brain creates and essentially replicates ADD. So a kid who does not have ADD, who does not have attention deficit disorder, can begin to have symptoms of ADD because of cell phone use. And it makes a lot of sense, right? Because you're like constantly distracted, and oh my gosh, all these things popping up, and oh my goodness, this is crazy, right? It's insane to see how brain chemistry can be impacted by these things. And yeah, so going back to it, phones, that kind of stuff, much worse for kids than the whole mask situation. I would, if I had a choice between the two, I would rather students have no phones. As they you know what my ideal would be? You want to actually help with like mental health of students and have kids interact more, etc. Have them turn all their phones in as they're walking into school. Wear a mask. I would rather that. I would rather them have to turn all their phones in and wear a mask than to have their phones and not a mask, if that makes sense. I think it does, at least in my head. Eric K., welcome to the chat. Glad to see you here, as the chat has jumped on me, as it tends to do. So let me just see right here. Luckily, no comments were skipped, which is always a great thing to see. So jumping over now to D-Live, that way we can catch up. Alexander, what's going on, man? I don't know why you said whoa, but welcome, welcome, welcome. And that was pretty much it as far as people tagging me over there. Cool. So I'll come back to y'all later. Superman Gamer says, okay, that makes sense. Well, I'm glad that it does. Glad it does. Nitrium says, regarding Avatar, why would you want the sequels to be as bad story-wise as the first one? Surely you want the film to be as good as possible. I've never heard anyone wanting a bad film. So yeah, what I mean by that is that I don't think the films are gonna be well written. Because the first film made it clear that James Cameron is obsessed with the technology involved with the project and not with actually making a good story. And so basically, the reason why I said it that way is because if the story is bad again, and the technology is not as impressive this time as it was when it first came out, maybe then that will be enough to wake people the hell up to say, yeah, these aren't good. I don't want to waste my money on this. Because as I said, I just want the Avatar films to go away. Because all that it is it's James Cameron saying, I have all this money, and again, he has every right to do this. I am not saying he does not have the right to do this. However, I think that we deserve better. We deserve better movies. And I would much rather him spend this money and his attention on making a really good, legitimate Alita Battle Angel sequel, one that actually did have some pretty good writing to it, had some really cool effects to it, than wasting $1 billion on projects where, again, his sole focus is not the story, but the technology involved. So that's the reason why. That's why I said it in that way. Obviously, it'd be great if Avatar 2 had a fantastic story, everything was great. Wouldn't that be amazing? I don't think it's going to happen because he already showed us what he cares about in the first movie. It's not story. It's everything else around it. Ooh, the technology. That's how I'm going to get people in, is they're going to be like, ooh, and on. They're not going to worry about the story. The same thing, I'm guaranteeing that's the same exact thing that's going to happen with all the others. So I was like, okay, good. I hope that they are. And I hope that this time people wake up to that and don't give them money, and that they lose money, and that they just stop making them. And they say, all right, let's cut the cord on this, and let's instead put this money towards better projects. Nathan Slake is also, too, remember that it's because of that asshat, James Cameron, pushing Avatar's crap, that we had the plethora of worthless, nonsensical transfers into 3D format. Remember when every single movie was in 3D for no reason? That was because of Avatar. That was because of James Cameron. I don't want that again. Sorry. I get very ticked off about that. Anyway, Nathan Slay. There's also no excuse for the Karate Kid 84 not getting a Best Picture nom, at least. If Rocky gets nominated, why doesn't Karate Kid get nominated? Rocky is overrated to me. That's a... no. Karate Kid, nostalgic, yes. Fun movie, yes. Good movie, sure. Best Picture at that time, no. Rocky is actually a very good film. You can again, opinion-wise, you can say it's overrated, but legitimately, it's a good film. CW Trixie says, Odin vs. the Turkish Trolls, make that movie. Slice of Neon says, hi, I'm from Turducken. Mike Jackson, did you use the 4-letter word read? Next you'll say work. I know, right? I know, right? Let's see. Stephanie B says, hi from Turkey. So Stephanie B and Tina say hi from Turkey. How dare you? Eric M says, did you watch my Nerdy Home Justice Con live stream? Nope. You like watching all the streams, man. You like it. I hate calling people out like this, but if you know the history of it, Eric, are you someone that just jumps into every single stream that's going on at any time just to say hi and get your name read aloud? Honest question, because every morning that you come into the morning movie streams, it's always, hey, I was over on this stream, and then you disappear for the rest of the stream. I don't really appreciate that kind of what I call clout chasing. Because if that's all you're going to do, then just don't. Anyway, DM. Been to any drive-ins this year? I was thinking of going. I actually haven't. I've been wanting to. The problem here is that it's still light out. It's, 8:17? The movies for drive-ins don't start until like 9, and that's a little too late for me. And if it was just me by myself, I might be okay. But I would have to come in, might wake up the dogs, wife would be asleep. Obviously, wife with baby being developed inside. So I've been kind of holding off on those. The one thing that I really do want to do before school gets started back up, though, is go to the local theater that I've talked about now for a month now. Laura says, so Odin Question is like a secret code? Kind of. Because you can always tell who is not here often by the fact that they aren't using the correct tag, or if they're new. Forever Sci-Fi, what's going on? He's a member and says, a pencil, an effing pencil. Love John Wick, and I feel so safe if Keanu Reeves was my neighbor. Yes. Totally agree with you there. Keanu Reeves and John Wick trilogy has been fantastic. Nana Reaper is a member, says, I'm going to beat Seth into a bloody stupor if he doesn't shut up on social media. Seth, which Seth? Nathan Slay, again, context. It's been about 20 minutes. I always need context. Nathan Slay, I'm not saying John Wick 2 is bad. It has great action, but I had a hard time keeping up with the story. Just felt like a step down from John Wick 1. Well, that tells me that you had difficulty keeping up with the story. And that's the reason, again, why I like it, is because I think the story is really good because it does a lot with the story. So Souls asks, no box office numbers, so Vegas trip? No. I say nay, nay. As Nana Reaper says, screw Hollywood. And on that note, the chat has jumped on me once again. So let's see where we left off. Boom. Yeah, Nana Reaper said, screw Hollywood. Robert Frey says, Raven Awards could be for all-time favorites and bombs instead of just for 2020. Yeah, but there's categories. There's established categories. That's kind of the point, is that there's established categories. Drive me crazy. It drives me crazy. Alexander, I'm not going to read that because that has nothing to do with anything we're talking about tonight. Peabody, well, I messed up the correct tag, but that was on Twitch. Well, yeah, it happens. That happens. So, Lord Toth, good to see you as well. Glad to see you here. Glad to see you here indeed. All right, let's see. Nana Reaper says, Avatar sucked. I am Team Human. It's just a bad story. It's a bad story because it rips off from better stories and it doesn't do it better. It doesn't even do it well. Let's not even freaking talk about that stupid ponytail nonsense. Oh, the ponytail that we use to connect to the animals is also how we have sex, by the way. Great job. Great writing there. Good job. HyberNex13. Hello, my brother. I pop in the chat. First thing I hear is Avatar. Hope you're doing well. Well, you know, if that's the first thing you hear, you know I'm not doing well. Lord Toth, what's up, man? Rocky withstands the test of time. Yes, it does. Yes, it does indeed. Super says, agreed. Granted, it was several decades ago, but this guy created Terminator, directed Aliens. He could do something great, but instead he wants to make Blue Pocahontas forever. Blue Pocahontas / Ferngully / Dances with Wolves, and it's not even up to those standards either, right? Ferngully is a greatest film of all time in comparison to what Avatar is, right? And actually, I do find Ferngully to be quite entertaining, even though it's filled with propaganda, environmentalism. But again, they're singing in it, so at least it's entertaining. And of course, Robin Williams does some voicing in it, so there's that too. But yeah, I just, again, I'm not denying that he's done great things. However, the last, 10, 20 years, he has been completely obsessed with Avatar. And so I've definitely lost a lot of respect for him as a filmmaker because he's going down the wrong path. He's going down the wrong path. Eric M says, oh, and I don't go to live stream and mention my name, watch live stream because I like the content, enjoy them. Well, Eric M, I'm glad to hear that, man. That's just not what at least I see. Because again, especially with the morning streams, you pop in to say hi, you tag me, because you know I read anything that tags me, and then you literally disappear. And just now you were doing, again, the same thing. So just saying, it doesn't come across as being very good, man. Just calling it out. Calling it like I see it. Lord Toth, is Odin in a bad mood? No, I'm not really, Lord Toth. Just some things tick me off. One of them, of course, being Avatar. Avatar, without a shadow of a doubt, ticks me off more than a lot of other things. Nathan Slay says, I used to love 3D until I realized how annoying it was to wear glasses on top of glasses. It's annoying how, because special effects in 3D, that is so successful. And here's the other thing, too, is that 3D honestly does not really add much to the movie. Oh, well, it adds depth and it adds all these other things. It's like, no, it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick. Again, does that mean that all 3D is trash? No. There's been some 3D transfers and some films directly filmed in 3D that have looked good, right? But it is a gimmick. If we're going to go down any routes, I choose the Christopher Nolan route, which is let's put it on 70mm IMAX, get the crispest image possible, use actual film, because that's the best way to get one of the most immersive. Again, why do you think it is that old movies that have been scanned from their original 35 or 70mm prints have so much more life to them than the digital garbage that we're getting today? It's not because we need more digital noise garbage, which is what 3D is. We don't need it. Alice McCarthy, hi, I'm from Chicken. Well, isn't that just funny? Isn't that just great? Let us see. Lord Toth, how dare you? You know that if anything's gonna put me in a bad mood, it's when you do that pineapple pizza nonsense. Jeremy Swiggs, what's going on, good sir? I wonder the first movie Hollywood will push once theaters reopen is a biographical story of Kathleen Kennedy starring Brie Larson, and you can't have a bioflick without Tom Hanks, Odin's #1 pick. No, hell no. Ew. Get that garbage out of here. Let me jump back over to my D-Lab fan. Peabody says, well, I messed up on Twitch. That is correct. And nothing has updated since then. Cool. Still love my D-Lab fam. You guys rock. DM, what do you think of the Harry Potter movies? I find them to be a total snooze fest. I enjoy them for what they are. Are they the best films ever made? No. For me, actually, the first three hold more nostalgia factor for me because I remember seeing them when I was younger. And it was really my first introduction to the character of Harry Potter. And I think the concept is actually really cool. And the characters are really cool. And obviously the books do a much better job. But so overall, I think they're fine. I own all 8 of them because my wife's a huge fan of the books. And so obviously we like to throw the movies on every now and then. And also, you know what? You say it's a total snooze fest. You know what? I think it's a great movie. All of them actually are great movies just to have on in the background and be like, oh, I need to get up and make popcorn. I don't need to pause it. You know, like it's one of those kind of movies where you really don't need to pay that much attention to it. Fat Steven Seagal beat up Ryan Johnson. Always love whenever I see that name. Says, you are my spirit animal. Well, thank you, Fat Steven Seagal. You are my spirit animal. Aiden Vickery, Avatar sequels face a similar issue to Jurassic Park. The first Jurassic Park film made us believe we could see real dinosaurs. The magic was out of the box and could not be repeated. Avatar faces similar, yeah, in a lot of ways, but also because the stories became just worse, right? It became more of oh, people like this. Let's make more movies to make more money. And so that's why for me, it's Jurassic Park and then The Lost World. Because I actually think The Lost World has a pretty good story. And of course, it's got fantastic acting in it as well. I mean, the film itself, you know, when you know, you're focused on the amazing acting. Yes, you know what I mean. Fantastic. But anyway, I actually do like the second one, but then third, everything else, nah. Lord Toth, longs out joke. Yeah, seriously. Wait for Nerdrotic says, go F yourself, San Diego. Exactly. Go F yourself, San Diego. Eric says, my nerdy home Justice Con livestream ended an hour ago. Okay, if it ended an hour ago and I've been on for an hour and a half, how could I have watched it in the first place? Because that was your question. Was what do I think about it? So again, just stop. Just relax. Just chill. Ah, man. Jeremy Swiggs. Well, read anything that tags you unless chat jumps. Oh, let me tag you. There. Damn you, Jeremy Swiggs. I see what you did there. Hybrid X13. I like James Cameron, but after Judgment Day, The Abyss, and Aliens, I find his work meh. Yeah, I know I'll get hate for saying this, but even Titanic is overrated in my opinion. Oh, you see, as I said, like, I think in comparison to the films you've mentioned, yeah, absolutely. In isolation, Titanic, I think, is a very well-made movie. It's very well made. Very impressive what they're able to do, right, with everything that they did at the time. The story, for the most part, is, again, it's a romance taking place during a tragic event. So, I mean, kind of in hindsight, you're like, was this really the best thing and story you could have done? But, again, it's got those other factors working for it, right? Avatar doesn't. Avatar, it's all spectacle, no substance. At least there's some substance in Titanic. Not nearly as much as Terminator Judgment Day, Aliens, of course. I've actually never seen The Abyss, but I've heard a lot of people say that it's good. But it also kind of reminds me of that, Steven Spielberg, right? A lot of the modern Spielberg movies have just not been very good, right? Some are there, some are better than others, but for the most part, it's Is what it is. Lord Toth, I agree. Avatar, watched it once, meant we'll never watch it again. Agree. Odin, yeah. Again, it's a movie that I've seen on TV every now and then. I'm like, man, I remember why I didn't like this movie. Because, again, it's all style and no substance. And there's some movies that I can enjoy that are indeed, more style than substance. But, Alrighty, let us see here. Fat Steven Seagal beat up Ryan Johnson. Thank you very much for the Canadian $2. Second super chat of the night says, sorry for cottage cheese. I'm sorry for logs out. Well, that's just fantastic. You better apologize for cottage cheese. How dare you? Will Gentry says over on DLive now, hi, I'm eating turkey. Does that make me problematic too? No, that makes you better. You're eating the enemy. Peabody then says, I call BS on Will Gentry. He wouldn't eat turkey. He only eats pheasants. Ooh, called out. Called out. Looks like there's about to be a DLive fight. Hopefully it's a rap battle of sorts. That'd be nice. 13th Warrior says, not that I'm obsessive compulsive or anything, but regarding tagging, when you think of me in terms of technology, imagine doing your nerdrotic boomer voice, but add a few years, #boomer. Again, 13th Warrior, no problem at all, man. You're cool. You're cool. We're cool. We're cool, bro. You and I are definitely cool. Forever Sci-Fi, How to Train Your Dragon is better than Avatar. Easily. Absolutely. Absolutely. The first one especially is fantastic. 70B does not like the tech talk. Well, too bad. Super says, I think Life of Pi is the best 3D movie I have seen. Life of Pi is a movie where if you watch it the first time and you don't know the twist, it's not that good. Watching it a second time when you know the twist and then any problem, because there's a lot of problems as far as logic and things like that, continuity, that don't make any sense that first time you watch it. And you forget about a lot of them and how many there are by the time the movie ends, because it's, not a short movie. But when I watched it the second time knowing the twist, I was like, oh, this isn't a problem because of the twist. And, oh, this isn't a problem anymore either. But the problem that I have with that one is that I really don't think the CGI is as impressive as people said. Is it impressive for what CGI does? Yes. But yeah, is what it is. Is what it is. And again, I just 3D, Patui. Lord Toth, looks like the moderators are working hard tonight. Moderators are always working hard. They're always doing great stuff. Thanatos Felicitas. James Cameron reminds me of the movie White Hunter Black Heart 1990 about a filmmaker in Africa gets caught up in hunting dangerous animals. Pretty much. I think that's a great example, Thanatos Felicitas. Yes. He becomes so full of himself that he just loses the forest for the trees. Nitrium says, regarding Brave New World, the book is very good. I'm talking about the Netflix adaptation, which is getting bad user reviews on IMDb. I'll watch it at some point. We'll let you know if it's anything. Oh, okay. That makes more sense, Nitrium. Yeah, the way you worded the first time made it sound like it was made to be bad. But if it's the reviews make it seem bad, then that makes sense. Thank you for clarifying, Nitrium. Latino Slant says, Odin was gravity good in 3D. I thought it added to the film. Not really. I think the film in IMAX is what added to it, because the sound design on those IMAX speakers was phenomenal. That cinematography on that giant IMAX screen was phenomenal. The 3D was just typical 3D. And again, if you subjectively enjoyed it, okay, fine. But in the end, it's a gimmick. Lord Toth says, ha ha ha. Well. Fat Steven Seagal beat up Ryan Johnson. Thanks for tagging. Says, one man, one desire. Arnold Schwarzenegger is little tortilla boy coming soon. Ah, really? Is that the case? Tina B tags me and says, okay, being serious but briefly. What was your major complaint about Dunkirk? In watching Darkest Hour today, and Dunkirk being a major part of it, I started trying to remember your opinion. So the big issue with Dunkirk is that there are no interesting characters. And the defense is often, it's not about the characters, it's about the event, and it's like, a movie has to have characters. And you need to have, especially in a war movie, you got to have characters that you can actually care about. That's what 1917 did better. Dunkirk and 1917 are actually very similar in general scope. But what 1917 did better was that it took you on a journey with characters, and it actually made you attach yourselves to the characters, and it actually made you care. In Dunkirk, I felt like I was like, wait, who are these people? Wait, what's their name? They're dead. Okay. I guess that's sad. And I guess that actually happened. So I feel bad for the real people that happened to, but okay. That was my big problem with Dunkirk, is that it's just the characters there were no real characters to care about. A new person in here. Cheers and Frasier are awesome television shows. Well, that is a statement right there. Lord Toth. Harry, the third one I enjoyed. Rest, man, wife likes them better than romantic comedies. The third one's the best one, in my opinion. Prisoner of Azkaban is by far the best. Also, that was directed by a very awesome director. In fact, I think it's the same director that did Gravity, so kind of explains it. Alps McCarthy says, who's a member, says, you have to like Avatar because I don't like Avatar, and us agreeing on movies is just weird. Well, hey. A broken clock is right at least, once a day, twice a day? Whatever that old adage is that I totally just butchered. Dean approved. Do you think the beer bug problem, there will be a lot of reshoots with directors getting bored? P.S. Pineapple on pizza is Dean approved. Damn you, Dean approved. Because it's nay. I say nay to that. But I think that, there's going to be reshoots on films regardless because they've got time. And also, I imagine that a lot of the films that were set to get released being delayed so long, not having fully finished in the first place with either principal photography or second unit photography, might need to reshoot more because people may have changed. People may have been prepping for different roles, right? Schedules may have been changed too. So, yeah, I think that's why that's another factor as to why you're seeing a lot of these movies getting delayed by a year or maybe even 2 years, is because of all the stuff, right? I mean, imagine, Hollywood is a machine. You throw one wrench in the cogs and the whole thing gets impacted by it in a very real way. Hyben X13, not a high bar, but Princess Mononoke told a better Avatar story than Avatar itself. Well, I mean, just better movie in general. Nathan Slay says, just want to point out a couple things. I do agree with you on 3D. It's a gimmick and it doesn't add anything. Second, Rocky is a good movie and a classic, but I feel like it's flawed. Well, again, yeah, most movies are. It's really hard to think of any movie that does not have at least one flaw. If you've been following my AMMs, my Asgardian movie mornings, I do mini reviews at the end of every single one of them. And the movies that I love and I think are fantastic, I still can at least point out one thing. Because there's always going to be maybe it's just maybe it is just a technical issue, right? Maybe there's a frame that's out of focus. Maybe there's something wrong with the sound mix, right? There's always going to be at least one thing that gets missed. No movie is perfect. There are movies that we love and that we think are as close to perfect as possible. But I mean, yeah. So and again, here's the other thing too, right? When it comes to film, there's two sides. There's the objective side and the subjective side. So if there's a film that's objectively good, that does not mean you have to like it. All right? The example I always like to give is Argo. Argo, objectively speaking, is a very well-made movie. If you go to the acting, the writing, direction, sound design, all of it, it hits all those pieces, checks all those boxes. I never have the desire to see it ever again. Not really big fan of it. It was fine, right? It was fine. Not one of the best movies I've ever seen, but again, objectively speaking, it was great, right? So it's about trying to differentiate what is the subjective opinion and what is the objective reality. And sometimes it can be hard to do that. And again, I struggle with that sometimes myself. And whenever I do, I try and always correct it, or I try to clarify it. Also, John T. Barron Jr., thank you for subscribing to the channel. Bashy Washy, thanks for the tag, says, when I said death of movies, I don't mean the theater, but the wokeness crap that infected our beloved escapism because we drop it and move on to another, like how we left Doctor Who. Yeah, I mean, here's, I think the better way to word it is, I hope that somehow, some way, because of the beer bug and because of everything going on, that there's something that changes in Hollywood when they realize, wow, we've just lost out on hundreds of millions of dollars. We need to actually make projects that people are going to want to go out to a movie theater to see, or want to spend $20 on a rental to watch. That means we got to step up our game. That means, oh, we can't just play around with these agenda projects, right? We have to change. By the way, I'm looking at my clock, and I do need to start wrapping things up, so I'm going to have to rush through some things real quick. Nitrium, who's a member, thank you. Regarding Avatar 2 to 4 have been 11 years in development. I suspect Cameron is going to push effects to the next level. My niece is crazy excited about it. I hope it lives up to her expectations. And again, it's all going to be about effects, though. And something tells me that the story is going to be... And again, when you think about how he's been planning it for 11 years, and if there's no good... If the story isn't good... Rather, if the story isn't great, or at the very least good, and you keep in mind that he's been working on it for 11 years, that tells you all you really need to know about the movie itself. Nathan Slay says, like the ending of Rocky, I didn't like the fact that Rocky didn't end up winning the match at the end. That's a subjective opinion, Nathan Slay. Because if you actually look to the writing of the story, it actually works very well with the story they were trying to tell. Because it wasn't about him winning. It was about him showing, hey, I can hang with the best. And that's why you eventually get Rocky 2. Bruce, who's a member, says, I watched many live streams other than yours. Am I a bad boy? Not at all, Bruce. Because you don't come in randomly and say, oh, I was watching this. Oh, I was watching this. Hey, I just came from this. So you don't do that, Bruce. So that's why I didn't call you out. As there's someone who's just making a comment, deleting it, make a comment, deleting it, make a comment, deleting it. And it's like, I just, come on. Just chill the hell out. Chill the hell out. It's like two of your profiles have already been hidden. I don't want to hide anymore or deal with it anymore. All right, I do need to rush through things though. So let me just let's rush through DLive, and then DLive fam, if y'all can just chill out for a little bit and take care of any trolls, that'd be great. Peabody says, no battles here. Will is good. He waffles more than I do. Oh boy, Peabody, the problem with Dunkirk, the timeline doesn't make sense till you watch it again. Peabody says, then you realize you were working on 3 different timelines. Well, yeah, and that's something I did know beforehand, and so that I think helped me that first time watching it. The real problem, though, is the characters. Will Gentry says, what do you think of Gravity? Honestly found it boring. I can see why many would, but because it's only a 90-minute movie, I think it moves at a good enough clip for it to stay interesting. In the beginning, I mean, everything is just absolutely fantastic. Alexander, yeah, dude, The Hunt's been out for a long time, and I've talked about that a long time ago. So it's still very confusing as to whether or not it was supposed to be satire or whether it was supposed to be attack. We honestly don't know. All right, let me try and rush through as much of this as I can, because I am running right up at time. Nana Reaper, as a member, says, I trust nothing, but I think the Jonah Hex sequel would be better than Avatar. I do think that is the case. Forever Sci-Fi, by the way, Peter Han, welcome. Forever Sci-Fi, I like watching Titanic, but always start watching just from when the iceberg hits. Well, damn. Thenoto Sweet says, I like the Poseidon Adventure 1972 over the Titanic because it had sinking of the ship at the beginning. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. I've actually never seen that one. Jeremy Swiggs, I haven't told you lately. You complete me. Well, thank you, Jeremy Swiggs. I appreciate it. Nana Reaper, Avatar is a woke culture for $500 million. You got to add that part of it. There's definitely some politicization in there. Tina says, better a romance in Titanic than a filthy rich Clifton Webb kidnapping his kids from his filthy rich wife, Barbara Stanwyck, in 1950 20th Century Fox production called Titanic. Never seen it. Cheers and Frasier are awesome television shows. Tagged me and says, what did you think of the movie Hook? Hook is by far, I think, the most underrated Steven Spielberg movie, and also one of the most underrated scores by John Williams. Love it. Peter Han. What is better, Titanic or Dunkirk? Titanic. Easily Titanic. Easily Titanic. Eric M., the reason I disappeared from AMA live streams because I don't know the type of movies because I'm 16-year-old Hispanic Christian kid and I watched a movie that I know of is on HBO Max. Again, just let it go, please. Orange Reviews. Odin, is safe to say that all Avatar is tech demo. That's all. Yeah, exactly. Tech demo, fine. Movie cinema, nah. Nathan Slay, who needs 3D when you can watch animated movies in 3D animation? That is true. And then he says, I love you so much. And the as voice content you put out is great. Thank you, Eric M. Jeremy Swibbs. Dunkirk could have been better, but it was slow and it felt like spent more time trying to figure out what time it was, trying to pay attention to the story making. Again, also the characters were not there. Latino Slant, Odin, yeah, IMAX for sure for Gravity. Boom, yes, absolutely. Also, there were recently new theaters that were added in prior to the pandemic that were starting to pick up steam. Dolby Atmos theaters, oof. Anytime anything's in Dolby Atmos, go watch it. HyperXRT, the only thing I liked about The Life of Pi was Pi's struggle in adapting with other religious faith. But I understand why you don't like some of the stuff like visuals and the movie. Again, yeah, some of the visuals were just a little bit too, computerized. Again, it was a very computerized film. But as I said, the story gets better the second time because the twist, I think you kind of need to know. 70B says, yes, sir. I don't know to what. Nana Reaper says, the thing is, Dunkirk, there were a lot of great characters in real life, but the movie messed it up. Yes, absolutely. I think that's a great take on Dunkirk. Latino Slant says, Dunkirk in 1917, great to look at story and characters. 1917, I think, does the characters much better. Tina Swick says, oh, no, context Dunkirk. Yeah, if you start watching your watch too much, then such a crucial event lost its meaning, makes me sad. Bruce says, oh, in the reaction you just described about Dunkirk is the same I had of it. It's what a lot of people use as a critical of it. Superman Gamer says, Dark Knight and Dunkirk are Nolan's best movies. Fight me. Dark Knight definitely is one of the best films he's made for sure. Not Dunkirk, though. No, not Dunkirk. Interstellar is actually a movie I go back to. As far as just like everything, technical achievement, there's good story underneath it as well. It's perfect, no. A lot of stuff there. But Dark Knight is my favorite of his, I would say. Latino Slant, thank you very much. Yeah, Alfonso Cuarón is the one that did Gravity and Azkaban. He also did Children of Men, Roma, and Y Tu Mama Tambien. By the way, Roma, one of the most overrated films. Seriously, that film was so overrated. It was not that good. However, Children of Men, watch it. Children of Men is a fantastic movie. It's actually a very pro-life movie, which I don't think the movie would be made today, but that's a movie that I had to get. I think I have it on 4K Steelbook because it is that damn good. I vouch for Children of Men. The cinematography in that film might be the best cinematography I've ever seen in my life. Eric K, still the best ever war movies. Tor, always a watch. Always a must-watch no matter how many times you've seen it. Yeah, that's one that Tina always talks about, but I have yet to been able to find a copy of it. Fat Steven Seagal says, how are you today? How's your week been good? Hashtag cancel pineapple. Hope you're doing just fine, Fat Steven Seagal. Nana Reaper, I'm glad that Mulan is dead. Well, it's not dead. It's gonna come out at some point, maybe. HyperX13, since there are some that say there are perfect movies, do you think there are any flawless and such? No, there's no such thing as a perfect movie. The closest I would say to a perfect movie is 12 Angry Men. Many people argue that it might be the closest to a perfect movie, but again, no film is perfect. There's always going to be some issue, whether it's continuity, whether it's editing, whatever. There's always going to be at least one problem. Alex McCarthy says, Commando was flawless. I will stand my ground. No, it wasn't. Remember those fake-looking people that got blown up and you could tell that they were dummies, but they were supposed to be people? Yeah, that's one flaw I can think off the top of my head. Eric M., the comedian that does Nay Nay that I do in my live streams. John Panette is the comedian that does that. Cheers and Frasier. Television shows are great. Favorite Dreams of animated movie? Dear Lord, I can't. When I'm trying to rush through things, I can't do that. Shrek is pretty good, but if I were to actually look at a list of things, I would probably find it. I think I've answered that question before, actually, and I had a different answer than Shrek. It actually wasn't Shrek, but I don't have time to look it up. Lord Toth, right. All right, whatever that means. Thanatos Felicitas, A&E channel just canceled all their cop shows and lost their ratings. Good. I hope that they've realized that when you cancel things that people actually care about, you know what? You're going to lose money. And I hope they lose a crap ton of money. Why are there so many more comments now? Slow down. Stop leaving comments. Nathan Slade, by the way, thanks for our NATO, it was ridiculous. Have you ever heard of Shark Avalanche? No. I don't really pay attention to those movies. Eric K, hey, I was just outside. Damn you, Eric K. Don't you do that. Don't you be that person too. One is more than enough. As Lord Toth is chilling. Forever Sci-Fi, the speech Rocky gives his son is inspiring. Yes. Cheers and Frasier are awesome television shows. Between these two options, which movie would you watch again? Interstellar or Gravity? Gravity for me, because it's shorter and also it's great. Lord Toth, good into live. Yes, indeed. Super Anime Gamer says, heading out. Thanks for hosting another awesome stream. Good night. Good night to you, Super Anime Gamer. I'm trying to get there myself. Forever Sci-Fi, Titanic's Final Mystery is a great documentary and explains pretty well the hypothesis that couldn't see the iceberg due to the temperature inversion until it was too late. Great watch. Interesting. For any history buffs out there, that might be something for you. Bruce says, yes, Children of Men is awesome. Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. It is wonderful. Aiden Vickery says, disagree with you on Dunkirk, with you all the way on Children of Men. Again, Dunkirk is overrated. It's not bad. It's overrated, but I'm sorry, Aiden Vickery, there are no good characters. The characters are not developed enough for you to care about them. That's just bad writing. It's okay. He can make a film that looks good and has other things that are good about it, but the characters aren't there. Children of Men, yes, absolutely. Fantastic. Fan-freaking-tastic. Ah, lordy. All right, Forever Sci-Fi. Like Cinema Sin says, no movie is without sin. Exactly right. Lorto says, stop posting so Odin can go. Damn you. Bruce says, you can't stop reading posts now. Damn you. And boom. We did it. And also, thank y'all, everyone on D-Live, for taking care of that claw asshat, for spamming everything. Daniel Thorne says, new George A. Romero book, The Living Dead, coming August 4th. Zombies are out for you. A book. Interesting. I'm not much of a book reader, personally. Daniel Thorne that says, this was a week of do as I say, not as I do. Cuomo for national mask mandate. Then pics were found of him. And again, this happens all the time. People say, oh, I'm in charge. You should listen to me. These are all things that you should be doing. And then they end up to be hypocrites at the very end of it as well. All right, that is going to be it for me tonight, because I am way over time. But thank you all so very much for being here today. Thank you again for the love, for the support, for understanding. For those that get it, you get it. Again, for everyone that gets it, you understand. And you know who you are. You're the ones that are here all the time. Always making things fun, entertaining, always being here, trying to stay on task, always being here, trying to be awesome, amazing, and beautiful people. So I want to say a special shout out to you. And of course, a huge shout out to my Valks, Tina and Steph, for being freaking awesome, for putting up with everything, for helping and handling everything. To the members on the channel, thank you also very much for having some amazing comments tonight. For always keeping me on my toes with the wide variety of things. Adam and the Clan, thank you for that lemon donation. I really do appreciate it, man. You guys rock. And also, just a reminder, tomorrow on the channel, 1:30 p.m., 2 p.m. Eastern Time, there will indeed be a Chosen of Valhalla stream where me and the Chosen of Valhalla, my $25 and up backers, will be on the channel talking about what we've been watching the last month and also a wide variety of other things, just catching up with each other, having some fun. Peabody, thank you for the ice cream. Daniel Thorne, thank you for the ice cream as well. You guys are awesome, amazing, and beautiful people. And before we end, I do need to shout out my members, because if you are a part of the Army of Asgard or a Keeper of the Bifrost on YouTube, your name gets shouted out at the end of every single live stream, where if you're a member on Patreon, subscribe star at those levels, it's every video. So for my YouTube members who are Army of Asgard and Keeper of the Bifrost, I need to shout out Orange Chat Reviews, Bruce, Adam Avery, Latino Slant, Larry, The Bosco 2000, Twirly Wolf, Aiden Vickery, and Jace Doe. Thank you all so very much for being members, and I love you from the bottom of my heart. Thank y'all for the love, for the support, for being here, for those that have been here the whole time and not just jumping in and out and all over the place. Y'all the true rock stars out there, and that's why y'all get all of the cookies. Thank y'all again for being amazing. I love you guys. Have a wonderful evening, and as always, God bless. And now a huge shout out to all of my Patreon Members: Albertus Magnus, Animation Commentator Brian P., David Bobrizik, Dion, DivX, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, The Honker Chonker Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toon, Jonathan Carney, Kenneth Camille, Lady T, Laura Story, who is the modern Major General, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange at Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Out of Step with Reality, Riff Magos, Rosetta Ellen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, The DJD Show, and Tina B. Thank you all for being my Patreon members, and a huge shout out to my Subscribe Star members, Stand For, John B., Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Darkstar 57, Alex McCarthy, or J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J. Rod the Beer Guru, Nevadan G. Adams, and ZK Man, and Father Damian Cook. Thank you all so very much for being my Patreon and Subscribe Star members. Seriously, you are the wind beneath my wings. You help keep the lights on. You help support things like the giveaways for my $5 and up backers, and also allow me to do a lot of the extra stuff for the channel, including the exclusive OMB podcast that I do every couple of weeks with John, the Flick Pick of the Flick Pick channel. And yeah, thank you so much for your support. Don't want to really drag it out too long this month. You guys are amazing and beautiful people. If you want to have a name shout out, if you want to have access to giveaways, podcasts, any of that kind of stuff, check the links in the description for Patreon and Subscribe Star. You guys rock. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.